Chapter 18. A Silent Promise. Josue Chi found Ina sitting alone by the riverbank, her slender frame hunched as if the weight of the world pressed upon her shoulders. Her usual laughter, a sound like wind chimes in a gentle breeze, was absent. Instead, a quiet sorrow clung to her, making the air around her feel heavy. She did not look up as he approached, her fingers tracing the patterns in the damp earth, her expression unreadable. "Ina? Hey!" Josue Chi called softly, kneeling beside her. His voice carried the warmth of a summer sun, but it seemed to fall flat against the silence she had wrapped herself in. She remained still, her tears falling silently into the dirt, each one a tiny reflection of the storm within her. "What troubles you?" he asked gently, placing a hand on her shoulder. Her skin felt cool beneath his touch, a stark contrast to the heat of the afternoon sun. She flinched at the contact, but did not pull away. Her voice, when it came, was barely a whisper, barely audible over the gentle rustle of leaves. "It is nothing," she murmured, though her trembling voice betrayed her words. She wiped her cheeks with the back of her hand, leaving behind streaks of dirt, and looked away, her gaze fixed on the ripples of the river. Josue Chi studied her closely, noting the subtle changes in her demeanor. Her eyes, usually bright with life, seemed dulled, as if a part of her had been stolen. He remembered the last time he had seen her like this, when she had been grieving for her mother. But this was different. This was something deeper, something she was hiding. "You are not well," he said, his tone firm but gentle. "You are pale, and your hands are cold. You must tell me what is wrong." Ina shook her head, her dark hair falling across her face like a curtain. "I am fine, Josue Chi at all. Just tired." He could see the lie in her eyes, the way she avoided his gaze, the way her breath hitched when she spoke. He had known her long enough to recognize the signs of something deeper. Oh, but he did not press further, knowing that sometimes silence was the only thing a person could offer. Later that evening, Ina was called to tend to a villager who had been bitten by a zombie. The man's skin was covered in dark, rotting patches, his breath shallow and labored. Ina knelt beside him, her hands glowing with a soft golden light as she chanted softly in the ancient Miao tongue. The villagers gathered around, their faces etched with fear and hope. "He will be all right, won't he?" a woman asked, her voice trembling. Ina did not answer, her focus entirely on the man's wounds. She placed her hands on his chest, and the golden light spread, seeping into the rotting flesh. The man's breathing eased, and color returned to his face. But as the healing completed, Ina slumped forward, her energy spent. Her hands trembled, and she leaned heavily against the side of the hut. The villagers murmured in relief, but Ina could barely stand. Her body felt hollow, as if the very essence of her had been drained away. She knew she should rest, but the villagers' pleas for more healing kept her moving, her body aching with every step. Erin Hao, a seasoned healer from the Jade Buddha Temple, watched from the sidelines, her expression unreadable. She had seen this before, Ina's selfless devotion to others, even at the cost of her own well-being. When the villagers finally dispersed, Erin Hao approached Ina. "You should rest," Erin Hao said, her voice calm but firm. "Your body is weak, and you are not in a condition to heal others." Ina looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of exhaustion and defiance. "I cannot rest. There are more who need me." Erin Hao shook her head. "You are carrying a child, Ina. You must protect it." Ina's breath caught. She had hoped no one would notice, but Erin Howe's sharp eyes had seen through her carefully constructed facade. She looked away, her heart pounding in her chest. "I will be careful," she whispered, but her voice lacked conviction. "You should not be here." Erin Hao continued, her tone gentle but resolute. You should go with Josue Chi to the Miao territory. It is safer there. Oh, Ina shook her head, her resolve hardening. I cannot leave. The villagers need me. Erin Hao sighed, her expression softening. You are not just healing a body, Ina. You are healing a soul. But you must remember that your own soul is worth protecting as well. Ina did not respond, her mind already made up. She would stay. She had to. But as she turned away, a single tear slipped down her cheek, a silent acknowledgement of the burden she carried. Josue Chai found her later, sitting on the edge of the village, her gaze fixed on the distant mountains. She looked up as he approached, her eyes red from crying, but she did not speak. You are not going with me, he stated, his voice low but steady. Ina hesitated, then nodded. I cannot leave them. Josue Chi stepped closer, his hand reaching out to brush a strand of hair from her face. You are not just a healer, Ina. You are a mother. Your child needs you to be strong, not broken. She looked away, her voice barely a whisper. I am afraid. Afraid of what? Oh, I, he asked, his voice gentle. Afraid that if I leave, I will lose them. That I will not be able to protect them. Josue Chi knelt beside her, his hand resting on her shoulder. You will not lose them, but you must protect yourself and your child. The villagers will survive without you. Ina closed her eyes, her breath shallow. I know, but I cannot help it. I feel as if I owe them something. You do not owe them anything, Josue Chi said firmly. You are not responsible for their lives. She opened her eyes, her tears flowing freely now. I just, I want to make things right. Josue Chi pulled her into a gentle embrace, his voice a soft whisper in her ear. You are already making things right, Ina, by being here, by caring for them. But you must also care for yourself. She buried her face in his shoulder, her body shaking with silent sobs. I don't know how to do this, Josue Chi. I don't know how to be both a mother and a healer. You don't have to know, he said, his voice steady. You just have to be there. Ina pulled back, her face streaked with tears. I am afraid of what will happen if I stay. Well, then let me stay with you, Josue Chi offered, his voice firm. I will protect you and the child. Ina hesitated, then nodded. Thank you. How? As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the village, Ina stood up, her resolve renewed. She would stay, but she would not do it alone. Josue Chi would be with her, and together they would protect the villagers and the child growing within her. Erin Hao watched from a distance, her expression thoughtful. She had seen the look in Ina's eyes, the fear, the guilt, the determination. She knew that Ina's decision would have consequences, but she also knew that Ina had made her choice. The villagers would survive, and Ina would find the strength to protect her child. Later that night, as Ina prepared for bed, she found a small scroll hidden beneath her pillow. It was a message from Erin Hao, written in elegant calligraphy. The message read, The Jade Buddha Temple has sent messengers before. All of them returned as monks, their minds empty, their bodies empty. Be wary of the temple's intentions. Ina's heart raced as she read the words. She had wondered why the temple had been so insistent on her coming, but now she understood. The temple was not just a place of healing, it was a place of transformation, and she was not ready to be transformed. Oh, Guy. She tucked the scroll away, her mind racing. She would have to be careful to protect herself and the child, but for now, she would stay, and she would heal the villagers, even if it meant risking her own well-being. The next morning, Ina woke to the sound of villagers gathering outside her hut. She knew they would ask for more healing, but she also knew she could not continue like this. She had to find a balance, a way to care for others without losing herself. As she stepped outside, she saw Josue Chi already speaking with the villagers, his voice calm and reassuring. He was not leaving. He had decided to stay with her. She felt a wave of relief wash over her, but it was tempered by the weight of her decision. "We will be fine," Josue Chi said, his voice carrying a quiet strength. "Ina will heal us, and we will protect her." The villagers nodded, their faces filled with gratitude. Ina smiled faintly, her heart swelling with a mix of hope and fear. She would do her best to protect them, and she would do her best to protect her child. As the day wore on, Ina continued to heal the villagers, her energy slowly replenishing. She knew she could not keep this up forever, but for now, she would be strong. She would be both a healer and a mother, and she would not let anyone take that away from her. In the evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Ina sat by the riverbank once more. Josue Chi joined her, his hand resting gently on her shoulder. They sat in silence, the only sound a gentle rustling of the leaves and the distant laughter of children playing. "You are not alone, Ina," Josue Chi said softly. "I am here, and I will always be here." Ina looked up at him, her eyes filled with tears of gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. He smiled, his eyes reflecting the warm glow of the setting sun. "You are strong, Ina. Stronger than you know." Ah! She leaned into him, her heart feeling lighter than it had in days. For the first time in a long while, she felt a glimmer of hope. She would face the challenges ahead, not alone, but with the support of those who cared for her. As the night deepened, Ina closed her eyes, the weight of the day lifting from her shoulders. She knew the road ahead would be difficult, but she also knew she was not walking it alone. She would protect the villagers, she would protect her child, and she would protect herself. And in that moment, she felt the first stirrings of peace, a fragile but real hope that she could find balance between her duty as a healer and her role as a mother.